Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned.
Tune the madness, dial the rage. The world's a jungle, stage by stage. Shock Monkey Radio. Feel the static, let it go. Monkey Radio. Twist the dial and lose control.
Well, Madman Appreciation Month is coming to a close, and I always feel silly continuing on with Madman Appreciation Month after Memorial Day. It's like, boy, I'm full of myself, aren't I? Anyway, you see, this is the last picture I took on that day in Florida, in a town called AI, Florida, with the girls, hanging out with them all day, doing the Madman Appreciation Month photos, and I don't know, I think I kind of creeped out the lady who ran the modeling agency. You know, I think when we contracted with them, she like looked at my videos and said, oh, this guy's weird and creepy. So for the girls' safety, they said, for the girls' safety, we're going to tack 3 horses and let them ride up to, like, there's like a beach house thing with showers and bathrooms and stuff like that. They go up there and they can get a ride up from there. And I thought it'd be safer for the girls. Are you kidding me? I'm not as dangerous as a horse, much less 3 of them. So they all were leaving and waving goodbye. It's the end of Madman Appreciation Month, and I don't know, for their safety. Makes no sense. Anyway, welcome to Shock Monkey Radio, the last episode during Madman Appreciation Month. So silly. I hope you had a good Memorial Day. I watched a movie. We'll get to that later for Memorial Day, and I'm just like, this Madman Appreciation Month, boy, am I full of myself. I'm no hero, you know. Anyway. Yeah, I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate it. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the cash tag shockmonkeyradio. All one word. You can follow me on social media up there at the top. So speaking of AI Florida, I've spent so much time this week arguing with AI. I've had to deal with Grok and Opus Clip. If you can bring up that pic of a screenshot of my channel with the shorts this week. This is driven me nuts. You know, obviously I do AI backgrounds for the show, and because it's fun and because that's where I lack. I have no real artistic, like, drawing skills. It was really hard just to make the logo, the Shock Monkey logo. So that's where I use it to fill in the gaps. You know, when I do my writing, I absolutely do not include AI. I feel like Queen, no synthesizers. Anyway, so I had those AI background pictures. If you see all those girls that were drinking beer in the background last week, apparently I fed that into a different AI system to make clips for, you know, virality. But the AI, Opus Clip is the system I use, kept framing the girls in the background into the shot like this is the Whatever podcast. And I know those girls are probably prettier and more chaste and more interesting than most girls on the Whatever podcast, but this is not the Whatever podcast. Okay. All right. And I kept yelling, like typing into the AI angrily, saying, those girls are not on the show. They're not even moving. Stay with the guy who is moving and talking. That's the focus of the show. So if you watch some of these, you're like, what the hell is going on? These girls are forever drinking beer and AI thinks that they're part of the show. I don't know. It's like, I don't know, it made me feel like that video where they called up 2 Chinese restaurants at the same time and they just started yelling at each other. It's like getting nothing done. It's like AI confusing AI. Grok versus Opus Clip. So hopefully next week the clips won't feature horse derriers. Hopefully horse derriers will not show up as faces in AI. But regardless, there's going to be horse derriers in the shot, even if it does frame me correctly. Oh, God. I really need to think through these things. Anyway, let's go on to the next topic. It's so frustrating. That's why I did like classics. I did a couple classics. Me going off on the Sex Pistols and a movie review, No Country for Old Men. Check those out if you like. But anyway. Yeah, so I've been trying to go on get a look like a 70s baseball player, but it's I gotta get it cut this weekend. That's all there is to it. There was an incident that happened a couple nights ago, and it's kind of haunting my dreams. And so, like, I don't want you to think I'm a dirty person or a filthy person. I may well be. You don't know. But it was I was late at night. I was watching movies, and I'd been sitting still for a while, and I gotta get up and go to the bathroom. So I got up and go to the bathroom. I felt something moving in my hair, and I thought, oh, maybe like a curl fell over or something like that. And as I'm walking into the bathroom, turning on the light, I go like this in my hair, and I felt something, a spider, running up my face, like, and I'm freaking out. All right. Generally, I'm not scared of spiders. I used to be terrified of spiders. But when they crawl on my face, I'm sorry, and it's a little scared. But here's the problem. It was the middle of the night. I had a spider in my hair. And I wanted to scream. But I just couldn't dare. Because everyone was sleeping. Didn't want to wake anybody up. And the sound that I made, I cannot replicate it. It was like, and every time I try to replicate it, it's worse. It's nothing like the original. And so I got to get a haircut. I don't want spiders coming anywhere near, coming near my head, thinking, "Hey, I can live here." I don't want that. And just for reference, I live in a basement. All right, I spend a lot of time in a basement, so spiders are to be expected in a basement. Why in the basement? Because it's cooler down there, and your parents like 80 degrees in the house. So I'm definitely going to get a haircut. And what's funny is, like, my fear of spiders was defeated by my fear of horses. I used to be like real terrified of spiders, like scream, run, like just start stomping wildly trying to kill it. And so then I met a guy who got kicked by a horse, and like he couldn't have kids. He was a he was a young man, and he knew already I'm not having kids. And so we talked a little bit about it, and he's like, "Yeah, do you know how hard a horse kicks? Do you know how hard a horse bites?" I was like, "You have something far more terrifying out there than spiders to fear." After all, every one of you, if you had a spider on your face, or even just me telling you the story that I had a spider on my face, and I knocked him off, and he fell to the ground, and I stomped the hell out of him, you're probably thinking, good, kill the spider. He was on your face. I understand it. Kill that spider. But a horse kicks a guy, he can't have kids, and you're like, don't kill the horse. Don't kill the horse. Why isn't it the same? Kill a spider, good. Kill a horse, bad. All right, let's bring up that pic of J-Lo. Fantastic. All right, so I want us to be adults about this. I watch your eyes. All right, I see everyone's eyes. You can see my eyes. We all could tell where people are looking. And let's be honest. Let's be adults about this. Everyone looks at everyone's butts. Okay? All right? Let's be honest. Let's be adults. Everyone looks at everyone's butts. And it's not always a sexual thing. All right? Usually it's just curiosity. You're like the monarch in Venture Brothers. Nice ass, Samson. It's there. Take a look and compliment Brock Samson on his nice ass, Samson. Everyone looks at everyone's butt. And sometimes somebody will catch you looking at someone's butt and say, "Hey, you looking at her butt?" It's like, absolutely I am. Usually people bring that up. They tend to be jealous. Anyone looking at my butt? Probably not. I have a horrible butt. I know that. You've seen it. Let's be honest. Let's be adults about this. You've looked at my butt. Maybe not if you only watch me on the show, but I'm not going to turn around and show you my butt for its own sake. I'd hope that one video of EK shooting me with a BB gun would have got my butt on camera at least once, but there's no need. There's no need. It's not that great. It's not worth looking at. It's certainly not like J-Lo's butt. All right, but here's the thing. Even J-Lo's butt is just a butt. We all have butts. All right, and the thing that separates us from dogs and monkeys and lower primate types creatures is that we don't shove our noses into people's butts the way that dogs or monkeys might. Okay? That's because we're evolved. We're better people. You have to ask politely to shove your nose into someone's butt. But J-Lo, her butt isn't that special after all. Because, testicles are cranking out butts every single day. Every single model of human has a butt. All right? So let's be honest. Let's be adults about this. Everyone looks at everyone's butt. All right? But here's a question I have to ask. It's like, how big is too big? See, look, ladies, there is a point where it's too much. All right, and I've been searching for pics of J-Lo all morning, which, everyone does. And so I found this picture, and I'm like, that is right at the border. Right at the border. And the rest of you better look like J-Lo. All right? The rest of you better look like that as well. But, I mean, on a 4 or 5 girl, that's too big. Come on, let's be honest. I mean, a man's got to have something to hold onto, But I mean, I like, even the small ones are great. Let's be honest. I prefer women's butts, obviously. But I mean, it's how big is too big for you? And I think that varies. It's like some guys like them really big, and you women, you need to understand that it's like guys really aren't that picky. We really, really aren't. All right, let's talk about the coin of the week. 20 pence. Do you have a cute little British saying like 2 pence, like we did the 2 pence, the tuppence? You have a 20 pence kind of word for that, England? I don't know. I haven't been there. So we did 2 pence last time from England, and this is a 20 pence piece. So it's 50% lucky. Did two $10 scratchers, one $10 back on one, so that's 50%. I'm not sure. I'm not very good at math, so. This is a standard circulating British 20 pence coin from 2016. The obverse head side is the 5th portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Jodie Clark. She's wearing the George IV state diadem. That's her crown. The inscription reads, I think that's Latin or just a symbol, like abbreviation. It says, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen and Defender of the Faith. Yeah. 2 Billy Joel references. Can't beat it. You can faintly see the designer's initials JC below the neck. The reverse, or the tail side, is a segment of the Royal Shield of Arms by Matthew Dent. We talked about this on the 2 pence coin, is that when you get them all together, it creates the Royal Seal, which is kind of cool design. I think maybe I should, I think I have another pence coin, and if I do that, then I'll get a picture of the full thing together. All right, It shows a meeting point before the second, fourth corners, Lion Rampart of Scotland and the Lions Passant of England, within a beaded border. The inscription reads 20 pence, in case you needed to know. Equilateral curve heptagon, 7 sides. 7 sides. Doesn't spin very well. Any kind of coin that doesn't spin very well. Actually, it's quite good to scratch with because of the 7 sides, the flat sides, they seem to do very well. Anyway, it's copper nickel, 84% copper, 16% nickel, weighs 5 grams. It's about 21.4 millimeters in diameter and 1.7 millimeters thick. It's an extremely common coin. Over 212 million were minted for circulation in 2016. Its face value is only worth 20 pence, or about 27 cents in U.S. dollars. And there's nothing special about it. Like variations in problems at the mint, like errors, was what makes coins valuable. Ironically, so do a lot of things like baseball cards and comic books. If there's an error, that drives up the value of that particular coin because it's very unique. Anyway, like I said before, England is my genetic homeland. Kind of closer to Scotland. And so I always kind of wanted to go to England, but boy, not these days. Not these days. That's the coin of the week. Let's do a movie review. Refill my water here. Every time I do a show, it's like I gotta pause because I know I'm going to clip something. So today we're doing a movie review of Midway. I saw Midway. It's a 2019 movie, Roland Emmerich movie. It was Memorial Day. I wanted to watch something interesting, and I've always been kind of a World War II aircraft nerd. See, I've never really been into cars and racing cars or anything like that, but boy, when I was a kid, I really loved World War II aircraft from the Dauntless to the Zero. I loved every single one of them. They're fantastic machines. And a couple times I went to like air shows where you can like walk up and see some of these classic vehicles, and they were the Corvettes of the era. I'm telling you, they were beautiful. And so that's why I really like this movie, because it really does focus a lot on the aircraft Midway, especially the Dauntless. I always liked that one. It was a good one. And so I thought it was interesting. I got to come back to this point. Hold on. That I found it interesting that the entire casting was white men and some white women playing wives and stuff like that. Sure, you had some scenes that took place in Japan with the Army and the Navy fighting and so forth, arguing with each other over how things should be done, or strategy. And I think that's how they got the, what's it called? The DEI, the racial demographics balances of the Japanese scenes. These heroes of this war, these real heroes, which a lot of, these characters are based upon, and a lot of true events in this. Because I remember when I was a kid, I was reading all these books about, these engagements, especially Midway and stuff like that. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a pilot for the Navy. Between Top Gun and old World War II pilot movies, I wanted to be what was that show that was on TV? It was a Black Sheep Squadron. I like that too. Anyway, but I mean, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a pilot, but then I had found out I had astigmatism, so I could just join the Navy and be a computer nerd. So that's too bad. But I loved all those old vehicles, and I loved the history of it all, and they got so much right. So many facts were correct. You're following basically Dick Best, one of the Dauntless pilots, and he. When you have a name like Dick Best, you kind of got to be the best. I'm sorry. So I really liked it. It was very genuine in the roles. They got some prime actors like playing Halsey. You got Dennis Quaid playing Halsey. You got Woody Harrelson playing Nimitz. Real people, real heroes of the Second World War, and they're done in a wonderful way. The movie follows the entire scope of the war from Pearl Harbor, well, not all the way to the end, to about Midway. From Pearl Harbor to about Midway. And a lot of like aircraft engagements involved in it. And I'm just like, wow, I love this stuff. This is a great movie. I'm surprised it came out in 2019. I think Netflix put it out. Roland Emmerich film. And there's some small embellishments, changes for the sake of the drama. For example, like his wife's name. His wife's name in real life was Doris, but in the movie, Mandy Moore played Anne. Holy cow, that was Mandy Moore? Holy cow, she looks fantastic in this movie. Most women, and she, especially in that 40s regalia, the way women dressed in the 40s, makes almost every woman look beautiful. You need to start dressing like that again. Wear more dresses, ladies. Oh my God. So I mean, I don't want to go too much in it because I mean, the story, right? About the Midway and everything but do you know all the characters and how it all went down? Because it's incredibly accurate, just a few little errors. But 11 of 13 stars, fantastic movie. And I'll tell you why I took off 2 stars. One, when you watch the beginning of the movie, you see like a bunch of Chinese companies popping up that finance the film, which I think is curious. I know, like, why would Chinese people do this? Because, I mean, even the stuff they changed is not that important. It makes the U.S. look better, And so, I mean, it's, I don't know. I found that strange there's Chinese money behind this. And second of all, here's something that was very weird being ex-Navy. Is like during the attack at Pearl Harbor and in several different scenes with the ships, they had, all the stuff's going down. Japanese planes are flying in and attacking. Stuff's blowing up. But I don't hear any bells. I don't hear any whistles. I don't hear any klaxons. I don't hear any... I know it's Sunday morning, but people were up, right? The watch was up, right? I don't hear any bells. I don't hear any sirens. I don't hear anyone yelling over the 1MC, yelling dog zebra or anything like that. And it's conspicuously absent for somebody who's been in the Navy. I wonder if they tried to put all the proper sounds and the sound design of the movie in there, but they said it's just too distracting. Because probably During the actual attack, it was probably a cacophony of sound with all these bells, especially all the ships were moored so closely together. It probably was a cacophony. It probably wasn't as pleasant a scene with all the true-to-life bells and one MC and shouting and so forth. So anyway, 11 13 stars. Really good movie. Really good. All right, let's get into the news worth knowing. All right, so some interesting stuff going on in the Middle East. Did you hear that story a couple weeks ago where the UAE's leaving OPEC? That's kind of a big deal, you know, and the ramifications of that are kind of huge. So anyway, let's go on to this other story where Iran and Houthi terror proxy facing Red Sea threat from pro-U.S. African nation. Senator Ted Cruz advocates for the U.S. recognition of Somaliland as a critical counterterrorism ally. Iran is said to be deeply threatened by small African breakaway state Somaliland because of a potential for U.S., Israeli, and Western powers to use its deep water port and airbase. Such moves would severely disrupt Iran's plan to use a proxy, Yemen's Houthi terror group, to attack Red Sea shipping. There's got to be a better way to construct that sentence, man. I may just be confused and stupid, Paul Tilsley, but there's got to be a better way to construct that sentence. Iran has been accused of pressuring the Houthis to renew strikes on shipping, particularly in the Red Sea's Bab el-Mandeb Strait. The waterway has become the main route for oil to ship out of the Middle East to Asia since the Strait of Hormuz was effectively closed. Lisa Daftari, that's a cool name. Lisa Daftari, a Middle East and foreign policy expert, told Fox News Digital, Iran's regime is deeply threatened by what Somaliland represents an emerging pro-Western and potentially pro-Israel foothold overlooking the Bab el-Mandeb that could blunt Tehran's leverage via the Houthis over Red Sea shipping in Israel. A lot of gears in this story. Daftari, the editor-in-chief of the Foreign Desk, said that's why Iran-backed Houthis are already explicitly threatening to strike any Israeli or Western military presence in Somaliland and warning they can move to choke the Bab el-Mandeb if the conflict with the U.S. and Israel escalates. The White House says that Iran's proxies, such as the Houthis, have been weakened. Quote, the United States military achieved all goals laid out for Operation Epic Fury, including weakening Iran's proxies. Now Iran has been strangled economically, giving President Trump all the cards as negotiations continue. And that's truly what's going on. It's like Somaliland. You've heard of that, right? You've heard of Somaliland? Yeah. They are more threatened by Iran than the U.S. in many ways. And they're a smaller nation, obviously, but they're right there near them. And they're not afraid to say, hey, U.S., come build a base here. Absolutely. Bring that money. Because that's what happens when we build bases in these foreign countries. Is like they make a lot of money off that. Because, you know, the sailors come home and what's there to do in Somaliland? And it's like, well, there's something to spend money on, I'm sure. Anyway. So, Edmund Fulton Brown, a senior fellow at the Foundation Defense of Democracies, FDD, told Fox News Digital Somaliland's recognition of Israel and Israel's recognition of it last December has clearly irked Iran. Fitton Brown, who is a former UK ambassador to Yemen, the Houthis' home country, said Iran opposes any recognition of it, Somaliland, primarily because Israel is the first state to recognize it, and Iran will oppose anything that Israel does. Iran is also viscerally opposed to the U.S., UAE, both of which are have pragmatic engagement with Somaliland, short of recognition. Somaliland has a potential base for anti-Houthi enforcement, i.e. a threat to the Iranian axis of resistance. So that's what I mean. It's like I mentioned UAE, and they did as well, because there's a lot more friendlier territory. A lot of these nations around Iran are becoming way more friendlier with us now, because we've kind of put our boot on the neck of of Iran, and we got them pinned to the ground, and so they can't do what they normally do, and so these other countries are popping up. Hey, you need to build a base here to finish them off? Go ahead, build on here. And so I think that the dynamics of the Middle East are changing. I think that the way people with Iran out of the way, this is the point of defeating Iran. With Iran out of the way, that could lead to a vast improvement in the lives of every other country in the Middle East. Every single other one, even in Africa, because of how awful Iran has been. Anyway, let's go to something more domestic, something local. Next story. Trump lashes out at Biden over suing DOJ to hide interview audio files. Biden's lawyers filed suit in Washington federal court to prevent audio and transcripts from reaching Congress. President Donald Trump lashed out at former President Joe Biden late Tuesday after his predecessor sued the Justice Department to block the release of audio recordings and transcripts tied to the special counsel investigation into his handling of classified documents. Quote, a crooked politician, Trump wrote on Truth Social while sharing the news article about Biden's lawsuit against the DOJ. Biden sued the Justice Department on Tuesday in an effort to block the release of audio recordings and transcripts of the former president's interview with ghostwriter Mark Zwanitzer that was obtained by special counsel Robert Hur during his classified documents investigation. Biden's lawyer said the lawsuit that the Justice Department plans to release the files to Congress and the Conservative Heritage Foundation after previously arguing that we're exempt from disclosure under federal records. What's that? IEW? What the hell? Federal records law. I'm stupid. That's what it is. Okay. According to the filing, Biden's attorneys argued that the disclosure would constitute unwarranted invasion of President Biden's privacy. Every American, including sitting or former vice president, has a right to privacy in the personal conversations he has within his own home. Biden's attorney wrote in the lawsuit, and when the U.S. Department of Justice obtains that private information through a criminal investigation, the department bears particular responsibility to protect it from disclosure. Why is it the Department of Justice's job to protect you from justice? I'm sorry, you're president of the United States. I think that a reasonable, loss of privacy should be, a foregone conclusion. The issue, especially when you're talking about crimes. Anyway, 2016, 2017, at issue the case of recordings and transcript of Biden's interviews at his home in 2016 and 2017 was Zwanitzer, who worked with Biden on his two memoirs. Files were scrutinized by her as part of the investigation into Biden's improper retention of classified documents from his time as senator and vice president. Her's year-long investigation resulted in a 345-page report that questioned Biden's age and mental competence, but recommended no criminal charge against the 81-year-old, the then 81-year-old. Her said he found insufficient evidence to successfully prosecute a case in court. Biden has separately fought the release of the audio from his interview with her. The House in 2024 voted to hold then Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt for Congress for refusing to turn over that audio after the White House asserted executive privilege. Transcripts of Biden's interviews with federal prosecutors were released last year. While Biden insisted they had treated classified information seriously, the transcript showed that he was at times fuzzy about dates and details he said was unfamiliar with the paper trail for some of the sensitive documents he handled. So he's trying to get ahead of it, too. Republicans have argued that Biden has been given a pass by his own Justice Department and that Trump has been unfairly victimized by prosecutors. Democrats, meanwhile, emphasized Biden's cooperation with investigators and contrasted it with the criminal case against Trump, who is accused of refusing to return classified documents requested by the National Archives that were stored at his Florida estate. Yeah, I think every president should be held to account with this stuff because I know I would be. I handled classified documents when I was in the Navy. Classified material, all sorts of classified material. And if I had screwed up with that, I would be in Leavenworth, still. This, handling classified material is a big deal, especially when you're making an autobiography and you're all fuzzy-minded because you're old and senile. And so we don't want you writing a bunch of classified stuff in your memoirs. Yeah, it may be old, but, stuff stays classified for a while. And Trump and Biden need to be held accountable to the classified documents thing. I think the story of these two men when it comes to classified documents has shed light on a big problem that's been going on with the office of the President of the United States. Apparently, every single president is walking out with tons of classified files. They're my copies. What? Imagine I left the Navy and I just started walking around like, hey, I want to take some stuff. You got a pile of messages over here? I'll just take them home. Is that okay, right? Is that all right? And some top secret stuff in there? No, I think, I don't care if you're president or not. You need to be held accountable, just like anyone else should be. Anyway. Crooked politician. All right, let's talk about what's going on in New Jersey, huh? The Garden State. Smells like it needs a garden. All right, federal agents in New Jersey beat back anti-ICE agitators in chaos outside Delaney Hall detention facility. Long, but not necessarily bad. Federal agents in New Jersey beat back anti-ICE agitators in chaos outside Delaney Hall detention facility. Do we need to read any more? That's the problem with these headlines. It's like, confrontation follows days of protests over alleged hunger strike in conditions at privately run facility. Federal agents deployed pepper spray and beat back anti-ICE agitators outside the Delaney Hall Detention Center in New Jersey on Tuesday night, following days of chaos outside the privately run facility. The confrontation, captured on video shared by Freedom News TV, shows the agitators trying to stop vehicles from leaving Delaney Hall in Newark. Authorities were seen attempting to stop agitators from obstructing vehicles and clearing them from the road. The video shows the encounter turned physical as federal agents forcibly pushed back agitators who had made contact with the hood of a vehicle trying to leave the facility. Some agents were also seen deployed pepper spray, while others used batons against the agitators. Good. On Tuesday night, Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin addressed the latest confrontation in a post on X. Quote, ICE law enforcement officers are assaulted by anti-ICE rioters who sprayed law enforcement with unknown chemical substances. I would say odds are it's either pepper spray or piss. Anyway, Mullin wrote, adding that 2 individuals were arrested for allegedly assaulting, resisting, and impeding federal officers. Yes, more of this. The clashes extended a weekend protest over conditions for detainees in the facility, prompted by a reported hunger strike undertaken by detainees themselves. Mullin on Monday denied the claims, writing, there is no hunger strike at Delaney Hall, and there are no subprime conditions. During the days of demonstrations, prominent New Jersey Democrats came to the facility, including Senator Andy Kim and Governor Mike Sherrill. While Kim was allowed entry into the facility, Sherrill was denied. That's a snub, huh? Democrats, including Senator Cory Booker, Democrat from New Jersey, rallied around Sherrill, criticizing ICE and the facility on social media. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security on Tuesday said, we will not let rioters stop or slow down ICE gov. Yeah. It won't slow us down. While New Jersey sanctuary politicians and anti-ICE agitators choose to spend their Memorial Day weekend smearing law enforcement and rioting outside of ICE's Delaney Hall facility, our law enforcement continued to put their lives on the line to arrest murderers, pedophiles, and kidnappers. The department wrote on X, replying to the thread of posts and images of criminal illegal aliens they said have been arrested. Yeah. They're murderers, pedophiles, and kidnappers, and you're like, there's these idiots out there saying, let them out. No human is illegal. You're pretty illegal if you're a murderer or a kidnapper or a rapist, if you ask me. That makes you kind of illegal. You break the law. That's kind of illegal. And those are big laws to break. All right. So I think we need to see more of this. And arresting people is always a good idea. Obviously, they're not going to be held very long. It's resisting is like a misdemeanor usually, and you're probably let out later that day. But it just sets the tone. I'm going to jam you up for half a day or a day or two. If it's a weekend, it's a Memorial Day weekend or something like that. I can't see a judge till Tuesday morning. But you just start arresting some people. Eventually, people will get the idea. It's like, yes, you could protest. Yes, but if you get too much into the face of people, starting to stop cars or getting in people's faces, that's where it becomes a problem. That's when riot shields should come out. That's when pepper spray should come out. That's when batons should come out. All right? Until they get the picture. All right? It's like I said, last week, it was like you start slapping cuffs on these junkies out there in the street. Eventually the problem's going to slowly solve itself. You don't need to shoot every rioter, just a couple, and eventually they'll all say, hey, I don't want to get shot. I'm going to go home. It's the same thing when you're doing like crowd control. Start making a couple arrests. People will get the idea and say, okay, we're going to protest peacefully as we should. And that's kind of the problem. It's like, I don't care if you're anti-ICE, you're stupid. But if you're anti-ICE and peaceful about it, I'm sure there's people in that crowd. It's like, well, maybe we shouldn't be jumping up on the cars. What do you think? I don't know, I think that's a little too far, guys. It's like there's some guy in the back trying to talk sense into them. I mean, we really shouldn't, I read that there's a bunch of pedophiles and rapists in there. And that's the point. The facility is a private facility, which means it's very, very nice. This next story didn't have the thing. We got a headline for it? I bet you did. You lovely bastards in there. For this next story. So, Purple Heart veteran reacts to Platner's refusal to apologize for mocking him. Shreds PTSD excuse. Good job, fellas. Daniel said Platner owes an apology to his children and Chris Kyle's widow. I don't know if you've been following this story, but I have. And as a person who served in the military, I don't like saying veteran. Because, like, even on Veterans Day, I'm like, no, not really. No one shot at me. And Memorial Day is like, no, I had absolutely zero chance of dying unless I fell off the ship drunk. And then it's my fault. Man, I hope they wouldn't give me a Purple Heart. It's like, well, he was drunk and he fell off the ship. We're not giving a Purple Heart for that. Anyway. So this is first on Fox. A Purple Heart veteran who was mocked online by Maine Democratic Senate candidate Graham Platner issued a blistering response to a video of Platner declining to apologize or acknowledge regret over the comment. All right, so this is a little, I don't know, tit for tat that went on online. So, quote, this is a quote from him. I saw the video and honestly, I don't want an apology. I don't need an apology. I considered the source of where the comment came from, and I'm the type of person that, in order for me to worry about what you say, first I have to respect you. U.S. Army veteran Teddy Daniels said in response to a video taken by Fox News Digital over the weekend in which Platner declined to apologize. He went on to say, there's zero to no respect for a self-proclaimed communist. The ironic thing is some guys run towards gunfire and other guys run towards keyboards. And I think that's a big difference. Yeah, it is. In a now deleted Reddit post from June 2019 under the username P Hustle, an account that Platner has acknowledged owning, he reacted to the viral helmet cam video that's showing Daniels being shot 4 times during a 2012 clash with Taliban fighters, saying that Daniels, quote, didn't deserve to live. I think Platner is a veteran too. It's like, how do you talk like that about another serviceman? Anyway. This is what Platner said. This video never gets old, he wrote before calling Daniels a dumb mother effer and claiming that poor marksmanship by the Taliban was the only reason Daniels survived. The deleted post can still be found in the main monitor's database of Platner's deleted Reddit history. We got it forever, bud. Alongside other resurfaced posts where he described himself as a communist, a socialist, used alleged homophobic slurs, and praised Hamas military tactics. Platner also targeted American sniper Chris Kyle in an unearthed interview in which he suggested Kyle killed civilians to inflate his numbers. Daniels, a former Republican candidate from Pennsylvania lieutenant governor, suggested Platner's comments about Kyle stem from jealousy. Quote, this was an interview where he said this, so this was premeditated, he said. There was no trigger there for him to accept the fact that Chris Kyle was a man with over 100 times greater than Grant Platner and shoes that he can never, ever fill. Daniels added that if anyone deserves an apology, it's his children and the children of the widow of Kyle. I believe he owes an apology to their faces. Platner, he's actually a warfighter. He's actually a soldier. That's how soldiers are. Platner has previously leaned into a struggle with post-traumatic stress disorder as a reason for making inflammatory posts, an explanation that Daniels isn't buying. Quote, I think Graham Platner is using his PTSD as a crutch, as a means to avoid accountability for his actions. I mean, isn't that what PTSD is for? I'm kidding. I have PTSD, obviously, from my tour. I've had 20-plus surgeries to get fixed after my tour and enduring the pain and recovery for each one of those surgeries, so I can understand how there might be moments, small, minute moments in time, where your PTSD may cause you to say something or do something that is out of character. Daniels continued, this appears to be a continuing course of conduct with Graham Platner, and he's trying to blame PTSD, which I think is insulting to every service member who actually suffers from PTSD or anybody, for that case, who suffers from PTSD. He's trying to use PTSD, echo in here, as a crutch, excuse, blah, 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 obviously. And, yeah. I'm trying to remember my point. Oh, there was that old bit on like Saturday Night Live where I think like maybe Mike, yeah, it was Mike Myers, where he had this weird eye, and then he'd say rude things. He'd be, oh, sometimes I say stupid things on account of the eye, Oh, sometimes I'm mean to other service member, on account of the PTSD, It's kind of like a catch-all phrase for some people. And that's what I mean. Like Graham Platner, I mean, if he served in the military, I doubt it was any like serious kind of role. Maybe he was, I don't know. But it just, you clearly came out of the military with some other ideology in you other than what the military teaches you. And it's just like the way this Army guy responded. I don't want an apology. You apologize to my children. You apologize to the children of the widow of Kyle, the sniper you denigrated. And you apologize to their faces. That's important. That's what men do. Warfighting men do. I'm not a warfighting man. I'm just trying to be a man. Not much of one, but I am a man. And Jennifer Lopez's butt is in my head. That's what happens to men. You start thinking about Jennifer Lopez's butt sometimes. All right, let's get to two funnier stories and then we're out of here. Internet piles on angry Domino's customers demanding refund after eating an entire meal. Video went viral on social media with commenters overwhelmingly siding with composed Domino's worker. What is that? What's a composed Domino's worker? Anyway, so a viral video shows, I don't have the video obviously, shows the Domino's employee keeping her cool while being confronted by an angry group of customers demanding a refund. Good thing we have an article here that tells us what happens. The video, recorded by one of the customers, shows the group upset that the employee refused to issue a refund because the guests did not bring the pizza box back to the store. The employee offered store credit, which is not well received by the customers. You could really just refund me, one of the customers said in the video. You could really refund me because all the food was dry and nasty. I'm trying to offer you a credit, the employee said calmly. We don't live over here, a woman in the group responded. We live an hour and a half from here. You got to give back the product for me to give you a refund, the employee said. The customer shot back, but that's something you should have said over the phone. The Domino's employee said it was a misunderstanding and reassured the customer that it wasn't her fault, but noted that bringing back the product is a requirement for refunds. Still, the customers insisted she was disrespecting them. You really rude? I think we know whether the demographic of these people. One of them said, the employee blew a kiss and said, have a good night, which left the customers incredulous. Did she just blow a kiss? One person said off camera. The video went viral on X, an overwhelming majority of commenters sympathizing with the Domino's employee. Isn't it common sense to bring in the item that if you expect a refund? Yeah, it is common sense. Another X user wrote, good Lord, I don't even like sending food back at the restaurant if they got my order wrong. I can't imagine asking for a refund for what I already ate. Yeah. That's what proper members of society do. They're like, I don't want to bother them. The steak's just a little overdone, but I could deal with medium well. Another user wrote, refund policies vary, but generally some proof of return is expected. Yes. Other users commended the worker for keeping her cool during the heated dispute. Indeed. That's ludicrous. That employee's better than me, a commenter wrote. All right, so another said, wow, give that woman a raise and promote her. Well done, young lady. Domino's was contacted. They have no comment. Yeah, so it's kind of like I watch body cam videos and the way cops are treated and the things that people say to cops. It's like, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. It's like, I got a breaking point, But if you're a cool-headed customer, or employee facing a hot-headed customer, and you can keep your head about you and you're just like, I am not worried about it. It's like, you understand the policy where you work, and it's like, hey, no refunds. You got to have proof. It's like that scene in Waiting where he's like, I understand your steak was probably overdone, but did you have to eat the whole thing before you told me about it? It's that kind of thing. It was dry and nasty, but you ate it all. Why'd you order at Domino's anyway? You should have got the pan pizzas. That's the best thing to do there. Anyway. All right, this story, I read this and kind of got a boner. But then again, I was looking at pictures of Jennifer Lopez. All right, just kidding about that. Treasure hunters find biggest Viking coin hoard. Treasure hunters find biggest Viking coin hoard in country's history without parallel. I kind of want to blame, the editor in me kind of wants to blame Andrea Margolis, familiar name. But it's a tongue twister. It's like, I bet you didn't say the title out loud, this headline out loud. It's without parallel. So 2 hobbyists recently uncovered one of the largest Viking coin hoards ever found, fittingly in a Nordic country. No kidding. How convenient. The hoard was found in a field near Rena, 18 miles north of Elverum. What is this, Middle Earth? In southeastern Norway, according to an announcement from the University of Oslo's Museum of Cultural History. The treasure hunters, Rune Satre and Vagard Sorli, suspected they had uncovered a hoard when they found 19 silver coins on April 10th. They contacted local officials at the Innlandet County Authority, and the site soon became the center of a major archaeological investigation. The cache consists of 2,970 silver coins, believed to have been buried or somewhere around 1047. Marks the largest Viking Age coin hoard discovered in Norway since 1950 and the biggest in the country's history. The coins were minted between the 980s and the 1040s, and bear the names of rulers including Athelred II, Otto III, Harald Hardarda, forgive me, and the legendary King Canute. Most of the I've only read them. Don't know how to pronounce them. Most of the coins were minted in England and Germany, which officials said reflects the strong foreign influences in Norway's economy during the late Viking Age. Well, I think Germany and England, they were the first to put out coinage because of Rome, right? Anyway. Foreign coinage dominates the circulation of money in Norway up until Harald Hardrada, 1046 to 1066, established a national coinage. KHM professor Sven Goldbeck said in a statement. They're beautiful. The hoard was deposited right at the beginning of this development. They described the discovery as a coin hoard without parallel in the Norwegian context. Hanna Gerain, Director General of the Directorate for Cultural Heritage, said she could hardly believe my ears when I heard about the find. She added, this is both a national and an international event, and few things capture people's imagination as much of the Viking Age in Norway. It remains unclear why the hoard was buried. I think researchers may have believed it had been tied to a region's booming iron trade during the Viking Age. Archaeologist Justine Bergestål of the Museum of Cultural History believes the massive coin cache may represent wealth accumulated through that trade. From the 900s to the late 1200s, there was enormous iron production in this area. He said ore was extracted from the bogs, and the processed iron was exported to Europe. What do they call that, pig iron? I don't know. Officials praised the 2 detectorists for following proper procedures and helping to secure the site. Did they get to keep the 19 coins, or did they have to turn them over? Because, if you're out there, if you're one of those guys out there with metal detectors, you want to gain something for yourself. But I guess there's bragging rights. It's like, yeah, we found the biggest hoard of coins in the region. This is an exemplary case of how it should be done. The Innlandet County Authority archaeologist May Tove Smithseth, Satra and Sorley immediately got in touch and have done everything by the book in full accordance with the Directorate of Cultural Heritage guidelines. She added, they're highly cooperative and actively contributed to securing and documenting the find in the best possible way. Researchers are analyzing and registering the coins. They said the hoard will be subject to research for many years to come. That's awesome. The Norwegian coin cache adds to the growing list of major Viking era discoveries over the past year. That's cool. You know, I wonder if there's laws, like if you found a cache like that, because that's the point, is like it's like historically significant to the nation. And so if you dig them up yourself in secret at night and you get all those coins and then you like try to sell them yourself or something like that, maybe you'll get in trouble with the nation. I don't know, with Norway. But it's cool. I mean, that's what's interesting. Is like there's tons of old coins just laying around at bottoms of oceans, buried and stuff like that. I find that stuff real interesting. I don't know. There's a little bit of Indiana Jones in my heart, I suppose. It's like but you know, those guys were like, "Hey, this belongs in a museum." Okay. Well, I was hoping to come up with another Billy Joel reference before we ended the show. So, and here we are at the end of the show. So I want to remind you again, I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate that. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. And you can follow me on social media at DNALATSAW. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards on Twitter. At SLRobbins13 on Instagram. And Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman. And I love you.
The Madman loves you all, from the big to the small.